So here we are with RealSimGear, and we're looking at a very interesting panel here for a TBM900. So it's a turbine aircraft, and just we want to learn about it.
Sure. So yeah, what you're seeing here is this is kind of a collaboration of, I guess, four different entities at this point. We've got a physical instrument panel that's made by Stay Level Avionics, and then inside that we've put in RealSimGear hardware. So we've got a PFD, we've got the larger MFD, we've got a switch panel that controls a majority of the switches that are in the airplane that would use in a flight simulator. We've got the GFC 500 autopilot, we've got the GCU down here, and then of course we've got some SciTech equipment to control it. We're running, this simulator is being run by X-Plane, is the simulator that we're using, and then the aircraft that we're actually simulating is the HotStart TBM900. And we've got the developer of the TBM900 software right here.
Yeah. I'm Sasso. Yes, I'm the developer of the HotStart TBM900, and what we've been trying to go for is maximum fidelity of simulation, and especially since I'm kind of a nerd, and I really like nerding out about system simulations and all the special sort of corner case behaviors of the airplane, where you can really get a feel for the airplane being a machine that you have to treat with certain amounts of respect, because otherwise it's not going to treat you. The airplane has fully persistent state. All the switches and systems are modeled. If you try and misuse the airplane, it's going to remember that. It's going to accumulate damage. So we do have a thing called a maintenance manager you can go into in great detail. You can examine each part of the either engine or landing gear system, and you can see how much it would cost to fix. It'll basically track your expenses in a maintenance log system, where how much stuff you have done to the airplane. And we can also look at various system statistics here, such as check out the engine behavior in real time. So right now we've done a couple of starts, and the starter of the engine is fairly well warmed up, which is not really a good thing. For the manual really requires that you wait a lot of time between engine starts. But we can do a quick engine start up here. So we'll put the fuel boost pump to on. We'll get a message here on the panel, so just cancel the message. And we'll just put the starter momentarily up to on. That'll initiate the start. We'll cancel the message. We're not actually going to introduce fuel, and we're just watching, for example, as the starter coil windings heat up, they'll start transferring heat up into the body of the starter itself. And we got to actually make sure that we don't overheat the starter, because otherwise the engine's going to, well, the starter itself is actually going to fail. So we can just go ahead and throw in some fuel, and you'll see the ITT starting to rise up. Turbine temperature and combustor fan temperature starting to go up. You can also watch this down here on the avionics itself. This is basically what the pilot would see. The display up above was for basically our sort of understanding and learning purposes. And there we go, that's pretty much the startup complete. Now you'll see the starter coils starting to cool down because they're not being used anymore to drive the starter, but the starter body keeps on absorbing heat from inside the coils, and also the engine temperatures are going to start stabilizing at a fairly standard value. The bearings themselves are going to start heating up because they're absorbing friction, and other components of the engine is going to basically start coming up to temperature. It's a really nice thing that we have a hardware panel here, because right now I can just go ahead and flip switches to their proper positions, and then I'm pretty much done with the starter. Like, there's a bunch of other items that I could do, but it's a really nice thing to be able to do it properly as you would in the real aircraft, rather than clicking in a virtual cockpit. So
the starter now is disengaged, or this is a starter generator?
Yes, it's
so
a
now
starter
it's
generator.
being dragged and producing.
Right now I'm actually on a GPU on the ground power unit, so to get over into the generator, I'm going to put this over into battery and bring the generator online. Generator is now on bus, and it does actually, if we look at the time evolution of the graph, it will actually keep on, the starter itself will heat up from heat transfer just because it's generating power for us. You can see the curve sort of shallowed out, but the temperature that it's trying to stabilize at is actually lower than it is after the start. The start consumes a lot of power. It takes about 10 kilowatts to start the engine, and right now we're consuming only about we're 27 amps at 28 volts, so that is very little. That's like 400 watts. That's only 1/20th. So there's not really much heat being generated right now.
So tell me a couple of questions for both of you. Who are you targeting with this? The operator, the owner-operators, the flight school? What's your target for this combination of hardware and software?
So this, well, the target for the hardware is probably the owner operator that wants to have something at home that they can practice on or run simulations on, as well as the home simulator that's in it for entertainment purposes.
We have a lot of enthusiasts in our Discord server that are basically buying up this kind of hardware because they are in love with the airplane and they just want a hardware panel to represent that. So we have a lot of people that are either building their own or they're buying from RealSimGear. And so there's more people than you would think that want to build a hardware cockpit because it's kind of a passion of theirs.
I think that's a real change that you're starting to see just in the last couple of years. Is that a lot of this hardware has come on the market in the last few years. It's just been too prohibitively expensive or difficult to do. But now you can buy hardware from RealSimGear. You can build your own home cockpit and you can replicate.
What is this
aircraft.
going to cost me? What I'm looking at?
So this system here, it's a little hard to say because a lot of it's still in a prototype. So a similar system TBM, once we put the extra switches in it, you're probably closer to about 4,000.
But again, this is quite a good setup.
Yeah.
And what about your software? Is that an add-on on X-Plane?
It's an add-on on X-Plane,
And
$65 from X Aviation.
All right, great.